talk a little bit about what it takes to kind of talk about my journey, and also talk about what it takes to professionally build a business and to have a professionally run business and do things on to be successful. And hopefully I'll hit some of those goals tonight. And then I've got a handful of questions that I was asked to consider. What kind of income can we expect from doTERRA? What will it, with so many people in doTERRA, has the opportunity already passed me by? What kind of management skills do I need to develop to be a good leader? And how do I get involved in the international side of the business? So I've got a big task tonight, and I hope I do a good job at answering your questions and leaving something meaningful with you this evening. When I started doTERRA, it was about 6 years ago when I started. And one of my best friends is a guy named Corey Lindley. And Corey is one of the owners, as you know, at doTERRA. You'll see him on the stage at convention. He's one of our financial guys. He and I worked over at another company for a number of years together. Our families lived in Hong Kong together. And he and Mark Wolfert and I ran or had a big role in the international development of this company that we were with. What Mark would do is Mark would set up the legal, and Corey would set up the financial portion, and then I would come in after they set everything up in these international markets. And I would run the market for a number of months or a year or two, and just to get it up and going. So Corey, Mark, and I had this interesting relationship where they would go into a market, I would run it, and I'd go following behind them after the market was open. I was the CEO. Once I left the company, I worked at a number of other places, but most recently, before doTERRA, I was the CEO at a company in Springville. We did about $700 million in sales and did business in about 34 or 35 countries around the world. And my main job at that time was to sell the company. It was a mom and pop shop that had had some success, but they were looking to sell the company and kind of cash out and be free. So what I did is I worked as their CEO for 3 years, and then I worked as the CEO for a bunch of investment bankers for 3 years. As you know, working for a bunch of investment bankers is always a kind of a tricky situation. And so the day came, I was coming home from a trip to Japan, and on my way home, I stopped in San Francisco to visit these guys, and they said, hey, we really appreciate what you've done. You've done a good job for us, and we're going to bring in our own team. And so they brought in their own team, and they let me go during a layover. And I thought that was kind of cold-blooded, but that's just the way it goes. So I had a year where I had a severance package with them, and about the end of my severance package, Corey came to me and said, hey, listen, we've got this fun little company that we're starting, and I don't know if you know much about it, but doTERRA is something that I'm involved with, and we'd like to have you involved in some way also. And what we'd like to do is get you involved on the distributor side. And Corey is one of these friends. I don't know if you have any friends that are like this, but he's one of these friends that are just like, I can't say no to. And I just was like, okay, well, let's just see what happens. And so he sent over Julie Cook, Greg Cook's wife. And when Julie came over to our house, I was completely convinced that Julie was the voodoo lady. If she was over in this side of the room, I was over in that side of the room. I didn't want anything to do with Julie. She made me a little bit nervous. She brought all of her oils, and after about 5 minutes, I was just putty in her hands. Our son had been sick, and now I'm going to go uncompliant for a second, if that's all right. Our son had been sick for a number of weeks, had this bad cough. He just couldn't get better. So as any good parent would do is they'd take their son to the doctor. The doctor prescribed some antibiotics, and the antibiotics didn't work. So we went back to the doctor again. Antibiotics didn't work. And so this boy that we had, he was 12 at the time, just sick, couldn't get over his cold. Julie rubbed Melissa on the bottom of his feet. And within 4 or 5 days, the thing that was keeping him up all night, keeping him sick, went away. And it was then that I realized I need to do something different with this company. I need to get involved and know more about it. And I came in through the front door of Melissa. And it was only later that I found out that it was a $130 product and found out how expensive it was. But Melissa is by far our favorite product. And it is one of those things that has been transformational for us. When I worked as the CEO at this other company, I had good success, but even when you're the boss, you still have a boss. I don't know if you know that, but even the boss has a boss. And I wasn't completely in control of my schedule. And I have two other older kids, and I missed some of the inflection points in their life. My wife had to teach them how to drive. I missed first dates and first kisses. I probably would have missed first kisses anyway. But, I missed some of those things that were important. I missed a number of swim meets, and it was all, you tell yourself, hey, I'm doing something for them, but I'm trying to make something better for them. But at some point, you really want to be involved in the details of their life. And that's one of the things that I missed out with my two older kids. And when I started doTERRA, I made a decision that I was going to be at home more, that I was going to manage my time more effectively, and that I was going to be there during the important points of my youngest son's life. Just about a week ago, he left for a church mission, and he's in Houston, Texas. But for that 6 years, it was just such a special time for me that, I was able to plan my travel and my work around, river rafting trips. We went to a river rafting trip every year, and we went to Disneyland every year. But before he went on his mission, we went to Israel a few weeks ago on just a trip where he wanted to go to Israel. He wanted to go check things out, so we drove all through the country. We've been to Europe a couple of times, and for me, it's been a wonderful opportunity to get to know my son and be with him in a way that I didn't have with the other two kids. One of the funny things about my son is he's 6'4", 6'5". He's a big, gigantic swimmer. And at night, he would throw his feet up in the air, big size 12, size 13 feet, and he would scream, "It's essential oil time." And he'd throw his feet in the air, and he'd expect either my wife or me to rub oils on the bottom of his feet. And for me, it was nice to be able to have that type of relationship with my son that, and it allowed me to have a different relationship, that I could put oils on the bottom of his feet and we could connect in a different way. And it was very special for me. So it's really, I think being with doTERRA for me I've certainly been blessed financially, but I had financial success before. And what doTERRA has given me, it's given me an opportunity to be able to connect with my family in a different way. It's been able to help me with my spiritual life too. I try to make sure that I'm a servant in my congregation in the church area that I attend. And then it's just helped me be a better husband and father. Hopefully I'm a more sensitive and loving husband, and the oils have certainly helped me to do that. And that's really my story and where I've come from. And for me, it's been fun to be able to see this grow and see it do well and be part of that along the way, like each one of you. So with that being said, I just wanted to share with you a couple of tips and maybe just share with you a couple of things that I've learned along the way to help you run hopefully a successful business, and talk about the business side. I hope that's okay. I guess the good news is that summer's over. I don't know if any of you had a little bit of a rougher summer. Maybe raise your hand if your summer wasn't maybe it was fun, but maybe, sometimes when summer hits, the business kind of slows down. Some people decide they're going to take a break. Maybe they take vacations. But the good news is I see a yes right there from at least one on there. But I think for some of us, some of it, we kind of back off a little bit. We kind of go into maybe a management mode during the summer. But what we've seen in the month of August is that August has been a terrific month for us. It's been a strong month, and it's really doing quite well. We're almost at the level of sales that we were for the entire month of July. So August is going to be a great month. And what I want to just share with you tonight is that all of us need to go out and do meetings and do events and do those basic, simple, rudimentary things to be able to build your business. I know I've been doing this for 6 years. Maybe many of you have done it. I don't know if any of you have done it longer. Maybe some of you have. But sometimes it's easy to kind of sit back and think about, hey, maybe I need to go into management mode, or maybe I need to slow down a little bit. And the thing that I have seen, there it is. Chantel said it was 3 years, a little bit over 3 years for her. But I think that sometimes we all have the impression that I'm just going to sit back and kind of go into management mode and just kind of let this thing play out on its own. And sometimes we get bored with doing some of the basics or some of the easy things. And what I have seen is that if I dial back in any way, or if I relax, or if I'm not fully engaged and doing things, I see that my team kind of does the same thing too. I've got teams and organizations that are kind of scattered throughout the United States, and also internationally, some of the personally sponsored people that I have into the business. And I notice that if I dial back a little bit, my actions get duplicated. And so what I want to encourage you to do this evening is to just keep on doing events. Look for ways to do that. And one of the things that I have done is I've looked for ways to be able to keep my events fun and engaging, and look for ways to, I've decided I'm never going to do a meeting again. I'm never going to go to a meeting, and I'm never going to do a meeting. I've had plenty of those when I was in corporate America. So everything that I'm going to do from here on out is going to be an event. We're going to do something fun, and maybe that's not necessarily your style, but my style is that we're going to have a good time and we're going to enjoy ourselves. And I'm just going to try to keep it fun or do things and just kind of see what happens. One of the things that I do is, and maybe this will say a little bit about you, is that I have a weekly event, or I try to have a weekly event in my neighborhood. And I don't know if any of you have had those weekly events where nobody shows up. I'm sure that you've all had those before. I've had those too, and they're kind of depressing. But because I have treats, and I have something, I make it an event. I have some food every once in a while. I usually get the neighborhood kids that come over to my house. And just about a year and a half ago, I had an event at my home where nobody showed up except the neighborhood kids who wanted cookies. And at some point, I had to kick them all out of the house because they wouldn't leave. But I walked away just kind of shaking my head saying, oh, yeah, this stinks. I had a rotten night. Nobody wanted to know about doTERRA this evening, and just kind of chalked it off as a waste. About 3 or 4 days later, I got a knock on my door about 10:30 at night, kind of one of those tick, 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 ticks. And it was one of the moms of the kids that had come over to my house. And she said, hey, listen, I know you're the oil guy. And because you're the oil guy, my daughter's got a cold and we've got a problem. And we wondered if you have anything for it. So gave her some On Guard, gave her a protocol, and then checked with her the next morning. And then I called in a little bit later that next day in the afternoon, and the daughter picked up the call. And her message to me was, hey, thanks a whole heck of a lot, oil guy. Because of what you did for my mom, I had to go to school today. And so be careful with what you do and what you recommend, because you never know what's going to happen. And that's what happened with me, is because I had something regular. I was able to get a new customer and a new client that came my way. One of the other things that I try to do is I try to make sure that I'm prepared. It's part of my lifestyle. Sometimes many of you will probably say something to the effect of, I burned through my warm market. I've already kind of gone through everybody. What do I do next? And that happens with me too. But what I did just recently is I changed gyms. And this is, you don't have to do exactly the same thing, but maybe look for other areas in your life that maybe you can change it up a little bit. And one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to learn how to, I know this sounds funny, so please excuse me, but I wanted to learn how to be a better fighter. So I decided I was going to go join a boxing gym, and they have wrestling in there and kickboxing. So I've been doing that for about 3.5 years now. And I was in the gym boxing one day, and I'd forgotten my mouthpiece. And this tooth right here is a veneer. I don't know if you can see it. It's a little bit of a veneer. And so I'm in there boxing one day, and this guy turns over on a punch and knocks my tooth out. And I don't know if you've ever knocked out your tooth, but it's my tooth has started to roll on the ground. And it's on one of these mats where you wrestle and the guys sweat on it, and you got your bare feet that are on the mat. So the first instinct was to pick up the tooth and shove it right back in my mouth. So I shoved it right back in there. And so I'm kind of thinking, this doesn't taste very good. So I pulled the tooth back out because it tasted like sweat from everybody else in the gym. Excuse me for being vivid on this. But I ran over to my bag, dumped some On Guard on it, and shoved it right back into my mouth. And the funny thing is that everybody was looking at me, and they were wondering what in the world is going on with this crazy old guy, because I wrestle and fight and box with a whole bunch of real young guys, and they kill me every time. But but they were all looking at me, wondering what in the world's going on. And from that, just that little exchange, I got a couple of other customers and clients, and we were able to have some type of a doTERRA discussion. So if I could just encourage you today is to look to have regular events, and then just make doTERRA part of your life and part of the discussion, and be genuine and authentic about it. People can see through if you're not really authentic about it, or if they can see through if you're trying to be too salesy or any of that. And that's probably more of a problem for me, to be honest with you, than any of you, because I know that's how all of you are, is that you have, a genuine and authentic way to do it. And, sometimes I come across as maybe the ringleader of the band. And so I've got to be careful there. But, in general, if I could just share a couple of tips, is just make sure that you have regular meetings. We've got Diamond Club that's starting. You're doing Diamond Club right now. And, host an event for your upline. Look to be able to support her and her efforts. I don't know if you have an upline also that's doing the Presidential Club. If you have an upline that's doing Presidential Club, we've got 1 week left for Presidential Club, and this will be a good opportunity for them to kind of finish up with their run too. I'm in the middle of it too, and we have been number one for the last 3 weeks or 3 months and 3 weeks. Last week we got knocked off of our perch for about a day or two, and it's like, oh no, it's collapsing, everything, the world's falling apart around us. So we had to hustle and get back on, back up to number one again. But we watch those numbers pretty closely, especially when you're in Diamond Club or in some of the other places. But take advantage of those. Also, right now, is that there's probably some tickets available for convention. The Presidential Club, Sandra, is one of those things that's just for diamonds and above. And not every one of the diamonds and above is doing this, but it's one of the things that it's kind of a Diamond Club for all the for all of the older people like us that have been in doTERRA for a while, that have a bigger title. So it gets us doing the basics again, which is a really nice thing for me, because I've forgotten sometimes how the basics feel, and it feels really good to do those again. But also we have convention that's coming up in a few weeks. And if you're doing events and you're bumping into people, it might be a good opportunity to be able to use convention as one of those inflection points for new people to maybe come out. I know there's not a whole lot of time, but if somebody's interested in convention, there's still tickets available. There's still an opportunity to be able to get people out here and be able to take advantage of what happens at convention. I love convention because I love interacting with the people that are there. I always find somebody that's kind of like me. At convention we talk about personality types. We talk about squares, and I'm a big square. And for me, it's kind of nice to see some of the other squares that are doing doTERRA. And so if some of you are triangles or squiggles or circles, it's always it's kind of nice to find other people like that. One of the other things that I like too is, I've got some teams that are kind of scattered throughout the country and maybe even internationally that could use a little bit of help here and there. And sometimes they're maybe a little bit tired of hearing my voice. And it's nice to be able to get somebody else that could help out. So I'm always looking for people along the way. So those are always nice opportunities to be able to interact with folks. And could you imagine starting out with doTERRA and then having one of your very first events be a convention where you can listen to Dave Sterling or listen to Emily Wright or Dr. Hill or any of those wonderful people that are there. So, it may be a good time to kind of think about that. So my advice tonight is just to, do the events, stay with the basics, make it fun, or at least make it fit your personality type. Some people may not say, hey, listen, I'm not a game show host like you, Eric. I'm not the rah-rah type. But that's better. It's just do what's going to feel best for you, and use your talents and skills, but make sure that we're doing the basics. So I was asked a couple of questions, and I thought I would answer some of the questions that came through and see if I can hit some of these tonight. First of all, what kind of income can we expect from doTERRA? I guess really, if I could share anything, I think the sky's the limit. I was the former CEO at a company, and when Corey talked to me about joining, I was really in a pretty good position to be able to join doTERRA. But my decision was, hey, listen, if I don't make any money for 2 or 3 years, I'll be okay. And I can weather the storm of not making any money. And for me, when I started making a little bit of money, my first check for $80, $90 was just like, yes, I want to frame it. I don't even want to cash it. I just am so happy. And for me, it was one of those things where, it was nice to be able to see it go. But for me, I've been able to, in the 6 years that I've been here, I've been able to replace my CEO salary and even double it along the way. So I think if you can invest the time and the energy, whether it's short term or long term, whether it's full time or part time, I really think the sky's the limit on that. Now, maybe some of you will say, well, Eric, you came in with certain skills or abilities and I'm just not like you. Or maybe you came in with somebody that was different, or maybe you just, maybe you were lucky. And I'll say that I did come in with some luck and some people that helped me out. But I think one of the things that we're seeing in the essential oil market is that we're seeing a nice trend of growth. And I know that all of you have seen a lot of other oils in the marketplace these days. Sometimes you see it at the dollar store. If you've been to the dollar store, heaven help you if you try the essential oils that you find at the dollar store, but they're a little bit of everywhere these days. But I just want to go back to a quick study that doTERRA did recently, where they did some research and found out that the essential oil and the aromatherapy market around the world is about a $7.5 billion market. So it's a significant market. There's a lot of money that's being spent on essential oils and aromatherapy type products. So that was for 2015. The projection for 2022 is $10 billion just in the United States. So I think that you can see that more and more people are looking for what we have, and to be just a $10 billion market and a $10 billion industry in the United States alone is quite significant. So I think more and more people are looking for oils. I think they're looking for quality. And I think because of that, we have to differentiate ourselves a little bit more than maybe we have in the past. I think we have to focus on quality. We have to focus more on our story and telling that in a more compliant manner. And I know that maybe I could take a page out of my own book and do it in a little bit better fashion. But I think that we have to make sure that choices out there that we continue to look to separate ourselves. And maybe I'll fall back on this example to answer that first question, is just say, if you want to be a doctor like Dr. Howard that's on our call tonight, you have to invest some time to be able to do that. People will spend years to be able to start in the medical field, in the medical profession. You spend years trying to be a PhD, to be able to be a professor. I just, more than anything, just want to encourage you and let you know that the time and the effort that you're putting into building your business today is worth it, and it's going to pay off in the long term. There's a quote that I wanted to share with you, and it goes something like this. It's one that Emily uses all the time. And she says, what you get by achieving your goals is not as important as who you become by achieving your goals. And I think that certainly there's a financial opportunity. There's a way to be a person. That's one of the things that's happened with me. And the second is with some is the market as oils become much more of a staple, and as many more people start to for alternatives, I think you'll only see the market grow. And to have the worldwide market in 2015 be a $7.5 billion market, and in 2022 have it just be $10 billion alone in the U.S., I think it'll be evidence that more and more people are looking for what we have. They're looking for some type of a natural solution. While people may be out trying and sampling and testing other things right now, I think they'll come back to see what we're doing and see the benefit that exists here. Question number 3, is it a good time to be building, and has big growth already happened? I think, to be honest with you, I think that our biggest distributors haven't quite yet joined the company. You look at the growth that we're having in the United States and what we're starting to do here, And you look at some of the segmentation in the United States. I go back to my business side, so I'm sorry about doing this, but I look at the Latino groups that we have here in North America and those that speak Spanish. Those are a fast-growing segment that's growing here in the United States. You look at the Chinese American populations that are here, the Korean speaking populations. You look at some of these wonderful international individuals that live here in the United States that could take the message out to the international markets. I think that the big growth hasn't yet happened. I think it's still yet to happen in our future, and we're still going to see great things come in the very near term. How do you grow your management skills to be a good leader? I think you just need to. One of the things that I do is I thought when I came in that I was going to be fully formed. I thought I had my act together. As the CEO of a company, I'd been in corporate America for a long time, and I thought, oh yeah, I'm just going to come in and kill it. I'm going to be like the best thing that's ever happened. And I got here, and I realized that my business skills needed to evolve, and that my personal development skills needed to evolve. I realized pretty quickly that I wasn't a very good mentor. I'm kind of the type of personality that's like, you know what to do? Let's just go do it. Come on, let's go, 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 go. And I realized quickly that I needed to work on myself. I needed to spend some time and invest in who I was to become a much better listener, a much better, kinder, gentler, more effective leader with those in my organization. And that's one of the things that I have learned is, I've spent time every day trying to improve my skills and look at my skills. I've still got a long way to go. But as a mentor, I'm much better than how I currently do it. And then finally, the last question that I have is on the international side. And if I could just leave you one tip, I know sometimes we look at the international growth and we look at the international markets and we think that the grass is always greener on the other side. But what I think happens is that sometimes we want to jump on a plane and go out to Japan, or jump on a plane and go out to Korea or China or somewhere else. And we kind of fly over a whole bunch of people that have never heard about doTERRA. And so I just want to encourage you to kind of look in your local communities with an eye towards the international markets. I have good, strong legs in Japan. I've got a strong leg in China. I've got a strong leg in Korea, and I've got really strong organizations in all of those markets. I've got founders, I've got blue diamonds in all of those areas. And I started in the United States first. Even though I'd had a lot of international experience, I started building within the United States first, and then leverage those contacts and leverage their contacts to be able to build internationally. And for me, it's been fun to see growth in the United States first, and then see it translate into business on the international side. So that's how I've done it in the international markets. Just kind of looked locally, but I always had an eye for the international markets too. So local with an international flair somewhere along the way. And I think it's just kind of living your life and just running into those people that can take you into those markets. I had a friend from one of my other companies that kind of reached out to me, and I never had any idea that she would ever be interested in doing business with me. But just one thing led to another, and now I'm in China and have a nice, significant business there that's growing. So with that, I think I may have bored everybody. Is everyone asleep? Did I put everyone to sleep on the call today? I tried not to. If I did, I'm sorry about that.
Oh, not at all, Eric. This is excellent content, and we appreciate you being on to share with us and dive into some of those things. Let's see. We had a couple of questions just that come over on the side there that I thought maybe it'd be fun to dive into. I know Shauna is a new builder with us. She's just launching this week. We're getting ready to do one of her first classes, and she comes to us with some experience in corporate America and being a business advisor. She asks, a business analyst. She says, what skills did you bring with you from corporate America?
I brought some organizational skills, and I think that I brought over some skills that I think I've learned to like people. I think over the years, one of the things that I've learned is that the more you like people, the more people like you. And those are kind of the skills that I brought. I thought I brought a lot more skills than that when I came over, but I had a lot to learn on doing my own business, and for me, it's been fun. But that's what I started to do. I just stay organized. I look at the areas where I'm deficient, and I put a plan in place to be able to fix some of those things. And so if there's anything that I do, it's just kind of a realization that I'm not fully formed and I've got a lot of work to do, and I just keep on working on it. So
I think that's a reoccurring theme we've heard over the course of the series is organization and staying on top of just working on our own personal growth. It almost seems oversimplistic that you just do events and that somehow you're going to end up with legs in Japan and that you're going to end up with legs in China someday. And I guess for those of us that, I mean, it a lot of times feels like you're really just, that there's got to be some other secret that we aren't tapping into or some other skill set that we don't have. So I guess that's one of the things that I know I get a lot of sentiment about, and especially when we talk about you bigwigs, oh, Eric Larson, he, he's got all the international, right, yeah.
If my wife heard that, she could argue with you and say, this guy is not a bigwig. He is just some knucklehead.
It's kind of reassuring to know that it's really that simple. One other question that I had texted over to me was more for, reaching men, and how have you maybe a word of advice to those that are seeking to dive in from that angle. There you go. Dr. Howard's waving his hands there. My hubby. That's my husband. We are not together tonight. We are, I'm in Seattle and he's at home taking care of the kids. So
that's why she was waving.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So, he said, "There's Papa." So, what do you have to say for those that might be considering either our men are already involved, or us women trying to get some men involved?
Yeah, I would just say, all of us have, all of us men are a little bit, we kind of have a rough shell on the outside every once in a while. Just be patient with us. We all, we still feel the same thing. We still love our kids and our wives and have all of those desires and needs. And I think one of the things that sometimes we men carry with us is we kind of carry some of this feeling that we've got to carry the financial load in our family. And one of the things that I've loved about doTERRA is you've got so many women that are doing so well that they're retiring their husbands. You look at people like Carrie Salmons, that her husband, Gary, was a big lawyer at Nationwide Insurance. And, she says she did this on the side, and it was her fun thing that she did. And she really just wanted to be a good mom and a good wife. And doTERRA was just my side thing. And then all of a sudden, boom, it just turns into a big deal. And she's able to retire Gary. And Gary was reluctant to come on because he felt like, I just got to have this salary and I've got to make this money and I've got to carry all of this with the family and I carry a lot of load. And it's just interesting to see when they kind of make the shift and kind of take the pressure off themselves to do all of this, that it's just easy to share and share with other people along the way. And that's what I did, is once I kind of took some of the pressure off myself, and because I think in the early days I was just, I got to get this sale, or I've got to sponsor or enroll this person. And I think, that desperation that I had was kind of like a stink that everybody could smell. I think everyone knew that Eric's desperate. He's going to try to sign me up. And once I took some of that pressure off and just said, hey, listen, I'm here to listen to you and I'm here to help you along the way, I think that's helpful. And that's kind of what us guys need, is someone that's going to say, hey, let's talk about this. Let's put a plan in place that can get you to where you need to be financially with you and your family, and to do that. And I think if they can see some type of a realistic plan, and even if it's 2 or 3 years down the road, I think that's a hopeful thing that you can do with us men that are a little bit hard-headed and sometimes a little bit of a bonehead at times, and need a little bit of a push and prod and help and guidance to be able to make the right decision to come on. So just listen. I think with all of us guys, it's kind of like all of us guys just need to be, we're like a baby that just needs to be burped. Just burp us and get it all out, and we can just spill it all out. And you wonderful women are so nice about just kind of helping to put all those pieces that we are concerned about in the right frame of mind, and then put a plan in for having their business build and replace the income that they're making.
Excellent. I want to just invite any of you who are on still, if you'd like to ask Eric a question, you can type it down there in the chat box. We'll begin to wrap it up here, but I know one of the questions we've been asking each week for our leaders is, what is one habit or one key suggestion you'd recommend for those that are getting ready or getting started? I know you mentioned having events. Maybe you could add to that just a little bit. Maybe one more key piece of how to get started.
Do you want me to ask? You want me to hit that? How to get started?
Sure. Well, or you know what? Actually, a bunch of questions just rolled in, so I guess we'll finish with that. But let's. Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat box. They just started rolling in here. So let's see. Stephanie asks, I've had many almost sales where I discussed ailments and products with the female and they're ready to purchase. Then they need to talk to their husband and are told no, since the husband didn't also learn about the products and feel excited. How do you suggest involving them and getting them excited when you don't necessarily have them at the class or at the one-on-one?
Yeah, that's always a tricky situation. And what I try to do as much as possible is I try to get all the decision makers together at the same time. If it's a decision if it's a decision that can't be made, I try to see if I can push the meeting off or push it into another time or another location, or try to dial it back into an area where they would feel comfortable. Instead of maybe trying to sell a big kit, I would sell something a little bit of a smaller price tag, and then seeing if I could arrange something a little bit later to be able to meet with the other decision maker, whether it's the husband or the wife or whoever it is. I want to get all of them in the room so I can deal with them together, maybe not at separate times, because I think that's always a convenient thing. I think sometimes it's convenient to be able to have that as an escape hatch, but most of the time, if you can get them all together and kind of have them have the experience, I always think that's a good thing to do. So I'm always prepared with oils. I always have samples. Take this home to your husband. I'm going to call him later, or take this home to your wife. I'll call you later, and this is how you use it. Make sure that she tries it, and I'll follow up with you a little bit later.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Wonderful.
So I don't even have any problem pushing off the sale until I can get the decision makers in the room to be able to do it.
Excellent. Another question that came in. There are many in doTERRA who seem to move pretty fast out of necessity. What's your advice for those that do need to move fast? I know I've had a number of people who even will stop by a booth or be at a class and they'll say, my job has fallen through, or I often feel hesitant to invite them into the opportunity because for myself, it's been a slower build. So I want to make sure that I'm not exaggerating. Is there something we can do or offer for those that really need to move quickly?
Well, for those that need to move quickly, I think that we need to make sure that we frame the opportunity that if they do want to move quickly, that there is that option. I think most of us grew a little bit more organically. We kind of grew slower. But, I think it's more of a function of time than anything else. I think if you can talk about how much time that person has available, what are they willing to do? For those that I have bumped into, for example, that have said, I need to start making money now, sometimes I'll bump into people that'll say, I need money now, but they're reluctant to do the work. I think they think sometimes I'm going to do it, or, that something is going to happen, or a big person's going to magically fall out of the sky. But I just try to put a work plan in place for them. So if they need to start making money, I'll start looking at the kits. Who can we start calling? How many people can we start doing? If you need to start making money now, let's get 3 or 4 meetings a day lined up. Let's start contacting. Let's get your list of names. Let's start looking and let's pound down through those. Pound down's the wrong word. I apologize about sounding a little bit harsh there, but let's start looking.
Sure.
Let's start looking at the contacts and their contacts, and let's just kind of put an all courts an all court press, kind of a full court blitz on all of these individuals to be able to make it work. And those people that are willing to invest the time, I keep on investing time with them. But, I've had people that have said, I need to start making money now, but then weren't willing to invest the time. And it's like, no, you're not really that serious. And I know that sounds callous, and I'm not trying to be that way, but, if they come in straight just for the money side, sometimes they don't have the connectivity, the passion that maybe it takes if they come in through the products, and they want to do the business too.
Sure.
But I've had success with a handful of people that have wanted just to go straight from the start, and I will do all the meetings that they need. I'll get them up there. I'll go to downline. I'll invest a lot of time to be able to help someone be successful if they want to go, because I'll go with them. I'll do exactly I'll match their energy and effort.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Wow. Well, we are very grateful for your time, and this has been so special to connect with you. I feel like you're a superstar in the doTERRA world. So just to have you take notice of our little team, it's been
all of you guys are superstars, and you do Diamond Club are the superstars. So congratulations on what you're doing.
Well, thank you. We look forward to seeing you at convention. And
you guys come and say hi to me at convention. Just come and slap 5 or punch me in the arm, or
I will do it. I will. Yeah, everybody else too. I'll bring the team along for a photo or something. We'll track you down. Good. Well, thank you again so much for your time. I just want to conclude. We're going to do some giveaways, and then I will open it up for any open conversation. Eric, we invite you to stick around if you want. Obviously, if you can't, we understand. But we have been upping the ante each week with our giveaways, hoping that everybody's inviting new people to the call and new faces. So let me just grab my little giveaway pile here. I have it here, and then we'll give some fun goodies away. Hold on just a second. All right. So last week we gave away a little diffuser. We gave away a wonderful little body wash that was out of commission, that was no longer being produced. So today we have a couple of other things. We're going to first of all start off with a business tool, and I think you'll appreciate this one since your good buddy wrote it.
I know. It's my brother.
Yeah. Seems like you guys are always the dangerous duo out there. So this one, I've got the baby and all this stuff juggling here. So I'm going to just pull out of the hat here. So our first winner tonight is going to be Stephanie Lupo. That is yours to take on. That's so exciting. Awesome. Thank you, Stephanie, for being on and being so faithful each week you've been on. Let's see, we have a little keychain. Of course, these are just awesome. These are really important for you to have, not only on yourself, but these are great ways to book classes. At your classes, you can offer a little keychain for people to have if they book that night. This is a great little incentive, among other things. And so I encourage you to make sure you have those. And for whoever this is, you're the lucky winner tonight. So hold on just a second here. Got the baby in my arms too. This is tricky. So this one's going to Rosemary. Rosemary, thank you for being on. Rosemary is a good friend, Crossline, who's been joining us, and we're excited to have you on. Wonderful. Make sure you guys cheer down there in the box. There we go. We've got Stephanie and Rosemary. All right, this is a little mini car diffuser. All right, so you put the oils into a little disc, and you can change it up as many times as you'd like. So this is a nice little way to freshen up the car. And Sarah Haywood, I believe that's you. Sarah Haywood, are you on? I recognize this. Yeah, S. Haywood, that's you, Sarah, right? Hopefully I think that's Sarah that's on. Basing it off of that. So Sarah, you'll have to give us a shout out there. Okay, and then one more tonight, and then we're going to pick it up for next week. We have the Breathe Stick. There we go. That's a favorite for many of you. And our last winner is Jania Watkins. Jania, thanks for being on. I'm actually out at Jania's house right now. She's going to laugh because she one breed. I don't have to ship it to her. So that's exciting. Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to unmute everybody. I want to thank Eric again, and I want to just open it up so we can all have a conversation now for those that want to hang on. And thanks for enduring the juggle here. I've got the baby in hand and the funky headset tonight, but hopefully everybody was able to hear and follow everything. So thank you again, Eric. And we will see you all next week for our final call of this series. We're going to keep our series going, but this series is going to conclude with a double header. We're going to have both Mark Garrett and Sarah Jansen. And if any of you, my goodness, this is awesome. Sarah Jansen she's known as the nesting gypsy. She's got quite the personality and quite the following and is just incredibly inspirational to me. I encourage you to look up her website beforehand. And Mark Garrett is a double diamond. So Sarah Jansen is a presidential diamond, and Mark Garrett is, okay, she's had it. Mark Garrett is our upline for our team. He is above all of us quite a ways there, but he's wonderful. He's been a great mentor to Peter and I, and he and his wife have been very helpful in supporting us, and I think you'll really appreciate hearing from them. So with no further ado, let's chat.